Hello, you've reached Midnight Gardener again. This is part 2 of the east side of the house. Part 2 of Pup being scared of the rain as well. I'll get right into it and stop wasting time. I'm about to get wet out here. Let me start off with this lemon. I've never tried to grow lemon or oranges before, so I got me a little lemon this year. As far as I know, it will die in a frost, so I couldn't put it in the ground like I do everything else. But I've gotten a little produce out of it. It's just an interesting little plant. This is a Crimson Queen. And like I said in the first video, this side of the house is the east side. It's very full sun. I don't have really any shade anywhere up here except for the weeping yelping holly on the side and the crepe myrtles. Hopefully that ginkgo will grow tall one day and the weeping willow will help out a little bit, but we'll see. Anyways, that's Crimson Queen. Not very crimson right now, it's in the middle of the summer, but still gets an interesting green out in the sun. I've heard some people say they'll burn, but I've never seen anybody's Crimson Queen burn up in any condition. So that might be something I don't know about, or a difference of opinion. These are cut and come again zinnias. Here we get the Dusty Miller ground cover. I love it. I buy it all the time. I wanted a border of it. A front border for the front of the bed. And it grows extremely fast, so careful with how much you get. This is a heuchera coral bill. It's called Black Taffeta, maybe? Taffeta. If anybody knows how to pronounce that, let me know. Very strange color, but it's very interesting. I forget what this is called, but I really like it. There might be a tag somewhere down here. Maybe not. It gets these very interesting little like cluster blooms on top. Very bright, very showy. I believe it's a perennial. It might be an annual though. That is some kind of sedum. Stone crop maybe. Honestly not sure about that one. I know it loves to be dry. That's another sunshine ligustrum. It's probably one of my favorite shrubs. They just stay so yellow, it's an evergreen. The color on them is just wild. It's Amber Ghost. Mine's out in a lot of sun, so it stays pretty green. once it goes through its amber stage, which is usually more on the new growth, like that. It's also very overcast out here, so it's hard to see the color. If you put them in too much shade, though, you won't really get much color out of them. That's a sweet potato vine. I love the olive green and purple, and olive purple. This is Pung Kil, P-U-N-G-K-I-L. Not sure what it means, but most people have them in a lot of shade, and they stay more this color, kind of like a burgundy-ish, you know, dark red. But I put it out in the sun. I wanted to see what it would do, and it has been almost black for the entire season, and it just recently kind of turned like an olive green. It's been pretty vigorous though. I've only had it since this past winter. It's a variegated loropetalum. It's called Jazz Hands. No, the series is Jazz Hands, and the cultivar is Night Moves. I have one that gets a little bit more shade. It has a lot more pink and red in it. And then more Dusty Miller up under it. There's another Coral Bell. I believe that one was Grande Black or Grande Amethyst. Yeah, I think it's Amethyst. The Grande Black. I don't know, this one might be black. I have Amethyst and Black, and obviously you can see one of them is literally black. But they're evergreens, and they kind of cycle. They'll die off, and then they'll come back, and then they'll die off and come back, and die off and come back. And every time they come back a little bit larger, a little bit thicker. This is Yellow Threads. Looking more like red threads. But in the spring, it was absolutely golden yellow, and then it got frosted, and then it struggled for the rest of the season. Now it's coming back. It's a Japanese boxwood. I really like the Japanese boxwoods and the winter greens. They have the very round leaves. This is Uncle Ghost. Greened out August, late in the year, in the sun, in the heat. It's done well though. This is Firefly. I'm thinking it needs a little more shade. It's also just absolutely rained like you wouldn't believe here in the last few days, so everything is extremely wet. That's more like it right there. Got some more sweet potato vine. Sweet potato vine. It's an annual ground cover, so I don't have to, I could just move it around if I want. If it gets in the way, it just lays on top of the ground. You don't have to keep it anywhere that you don't want it. You can, if it starts to crowd, you can just throw it over there. Sorry for shaking the camera. This is Jerry Schwartz. It's one I got from Grateful Maple in Raleigh, North Carolina. Technically Garner, North Carolina. He has a lot of really good, large quality trees. You should check him out. A lot of people don't know about him. This was a 2-gallon Jerry Schwartz. Here is Hot Blonde. And it has grown so much since last year. I've also had a problem with Japanese beetles this year, just eating everything. That's really more like what the new growth is supposed to look like. This thing was probably 2 feet tall when I bought it, I believe last July. It goes nuts every year. There's a wintergreen boxwood. If anybody knows where to get any green velvet boxwoods, let me know. Or any variegated boxwoods. This is Orion. I believe it's a witch's broom. Dwarf, maybe? May not be a witch's broom. I know it's a dwarf. It's very similar to Jerry Schwartz as far as its shape and structure. But the leaf shape is more like a like a Bronze Age. There we go. This is Purple Ghost. It's a classic. From what I've seen, I think I like Amagi Shiguri a little better. Maybe I'll get more color out of it as it ages. This is Jordan. I got it in a little too much sun. I thought that this holly would shade it out, but it's just in a perfect spot where literally everything else gets shaded except for this. And there will be just a sliver of sun. Most of this is frost damage. We got a late frost this year. And it hurt a lot of my trees. And it took them a lot longer to get going, but they're doing better now. That one has probably grown a couple feet this season, at least, maybe 3 feet. Wait. I forgot about these. This is a stone crop sedum called Autumn Fire. These blooms will come out and turn red eventually. Very good fall color plant. It's a evergreen. They do better in the ground than in pots. Same here, just a different color. Can't remember the name of the purple ones. This is another coral bell, or heuchera. It's either called glitter or spellbound. Here's another one. It's a variegated coral bell. This is really what it's supposed to look like. Dark red, almost black leaves with the pink variegation speckled. And then this one, getting covered up. Is plum pudding. This is another weeping yelping holly. I need to do some work to the top of it. It's got a little alfalfa going on. This is Hub's red willow. It's linear lobum. I have a lot of linear lobums. I just really like them. They're one of my favorites. I think they're underrated. They're all upright as far as I know. Some people call it strap leaf, bamboo leaf, ribbon leaf, string leaf, thread leaf. Pretty much anything that's skinny. You can say that and then leaf behind it. There's another coral bell I can't remember the name of. This looks like it's about to cycle on out of here and come back later. It's kind of a darker brownish, almost like a russet. Zinnias. There's another sedum. Boxwood, Japanese boxwood. This is the southwest side of the house. Everything over here has to be able to take an immense amount of sun. So a lot of times I will plant large sunflowers over here just to create some shade. It's just a quick shade. This is Bronze Age. It comes out very, very red, like a bright. bright red, and then they transition to the bronze, which is where you get the Bronze Age, like that. And then they kind of stay a bronze green. This is usually one that people don't pay much attention to, and then they get it, and then they're blown away by it, and it becomes one of their favorites. But yeah, I did the same with it. It's very pretty, especially in the spring when it's all bright red like that. It's another golden euonymus with some more sedum. This was a boxwood that was here when we moved in, and I just decided to keep it. This one is a sleeper. People do not pay attention to this one or give it its credit. It is Kenbu, Kenbu. It's just a very interesting linear lobum. And it's been out here in the sun, just as happy as it could be. It gets these really pretty, almost fluorescent greens in the early spring. It's very unique, very pretty. Here's a kind of olive green and olive purple sedum stone crop. It's been here since last year, and it has really done some work. Just got it as a small pot. Another golden euonymus. There's another coral bell, I believe it was called Forever Purple, Ever Purple, something like that. Looks like it's got some kind of fungus or pest. But they also get these little blooms on them. You can cut those off anytime you want. Just take them right off. Not a big deal. This one's a star. It's Seiun Kaku. Seiun Kaku. If you got it in the sun, this one comes out like a chartreuse, almost yellow on the ends with the new growth. And if you got it in the shade, it'll be very dark green. It has this wild growth, kind of a multi-branch, multi-trunk type of growth. I haven't touched it, I haven't pruned it, and I've only had it this season. And I mean, it's grown between 2 and 3 feet since I got it in, I believe, January. Takes as much sun as I can give it. is Illicium. ILLICUM. It's called Florida Sunshine. It's one of my favorites. I don't have a yellow dance, but I will dance for some yellow. It ends up being a very large shrub. It's great for screening, very easy to prune. You can go across it with some hedge trimmers. It's like a soft wood. It doesn't really get hard. It's just kind of not sure what you would call that. It's not quite soft tissue, but it's not quite wood either. It's an evergreen, so it looks like this all year. It might get a little bit darker green in the winter time. That's my vegetable garden with a whole bunch of shade, sunflowers. I'm not gonna go in there. It's looking sketchy. This is a limelight I just got recently. It had 0 blooms on it. But all of a sudden, I'd say this past month, all these blooms have popped up. It was a 3-gallon. And it gets blasted by the sun. Everything on this side of the house just gets hammered by afternoon and late day sun. But it's doing just as fine as it can be. There's an enormous cedar or cypress, I can never remember, that was already here when we got here. And last year it was probably 20, 30 feet tall. Planted directly beside the porch for some reason, and I just chopped the top off of it. Kind of made a topiary out of it. And it's starting to fill back in real nice. And that's about 30 minutes. That's all I'm gonna do for now. But here's a preview of some things to come. That's the trailer park, or as I call it, shader park. Just got a shade cloth back there with a bunch of bamboo stakes and just stakes everywhere to try to protect some things I got, things that I buy in the summertime. That's Lionel Richie. So yeah, you'll see some of this in the future. Thank you for watching.